right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. Welcome from the International Water Resource Association webinar on Global Youth-Led Action for Water. We thank you all for joining us today. Our panelists today include Rewa Asi, who is the chair of IWRA's Early Career and Young Professional Task Force, Michael Friend, who is the chair of UNESCO Global Water Youth Network, as well as Amin Shakya, who is the member of Youth for the Rhine, and Amrita Gautam, who is the founder of Drink Pani Nepal. This is a webinar hosted by the International Water Resource Association. IWRA is an international network of researchers and practitioners who work on a multidisciplinary range of water resource issues. It provides a global knowledge base forum for bridging disciplines and geographies by connecting professionals, students, individuals, corporations, and institutions who are concerned with the sustainable use of the world's water resources. Let me just briefly explain the format of today's webinar. We will have an introduction from our moderator, who is Rewa Asi. I mentioned that she's the chair of the IWRA's Early Career and Young Professionals Task Force. After that, we will hear the presentations from each of our speakers, followed by a panel discussion. At the end, we will have a space for questions and answers, so please put your questions in the Q&A box at any time. With that in mind, I would like to turn the floor over to our moderator, Rewa. The floor is yours.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Arturo. I'm very happy to see a lot of you joining us today, and thank you for our panelists for joining us today. I see that already people are putting in the chat box, where are they coming from? I appreciate that, and to continue with this, we will be starting with a short Mentimeter so that we can, know more about where are you coming from and who is joining us today. So I would like to please ask you to open Mentimeter. Oops. And join us using the QR code below, or entering the code number 73390554. I'll just give a few moments for our participants to join. You can use it from your mobile phone while scanning the QR code, or directly opening menti.com. I'll have it pasted on the chat box. We have the link posted on the chat box with the code, so feel free to join using the link or while scanning the QR code. And we'll be starting shortly. I can see already some of you joined, but we'll just wait a few seconds for giving chance for others to join as well. So given that we are a global network here, and of course, intergenerational network, we're happy to see who is joining us today. So are you a senior professional? Are you a mid-career professional? Are you an early career and young professional, or a student joining us? We can see already between the students and the early career, they're already, most maybe not to say just only passionate, but drivers of change. We can see them here, and you can also see senior professionals joining us. This is nice to see this difference and the people joining us, and this is what we always cherish the most is the intergenerational dialogue that we have as part of the IWRA webinars and meetings. We always appreciate this diversity. So we can clearly see that we have a lot of early career youth professionals and students as well joining us today. We see it coming more. That's wonderful. So we can also know where you are joining us from. Where are you around this globe? We're happy to see if we have maybe in some areas more than other areas. India, Nepal, Sri Lanka, Sweden, Lebanon, United Kingdom. Okay, the map is getting also bigger. That's Philippines, Egypt, Norway, Malta, and Malaysia, I see, Spain, Cameroon. It's nice to see that we have from various backgrounds and also various countries coming from, you are coming from. And this is where we always have the opportunity to actually learn from each other, maybe the challenges in the water sector that we all share, and if others also some ideas that we can be sharing together. Of course, I can always remind you that you can always be using the chat box to get in touch together, whether you can wanting to be sending your LinkedIn account or so to get in touch. So given this multi-diverse participants that we have today, I'm curious to know that, as we all know, that youth have crucial role in addressing the water challenges, because definitely they will be inheriting the consequences of these challenges, and they will at the end be responsible for the future of our planet. So in your context, given this is our future, what do you think is needed, or what is the support that oops, we are here back. What is the support of the what is needed for the young professionals, or the resources or the support necessarily for the youth to actually effectively tackle these water challenges? So we know, as we said, they are responsible for the future. So in your opinion, given from different backgrounds, from different intergenerational backgrounds, what are the resources needed for the youth? You can have your answers either a short 2-3 words, or just one word that you think they would actually be of need for the young professionals these days, for them to tackle the water challenges that we are facing globally, of course. Of course, there's no right or correct answers. It's just a idea of thinking. So I can see that there is a space to speak and be heard. This is of course important. Money, I think this is mostly like financial resources for them to access maybe opportunities, or also access education. There's education awareness, financial resources to access knowledge, opportunities, trainings, and collaborations. I see those are recurring aspects that we always hear about for needed for the young professionals, and this is what we always strive to do here, is to fulfill these gaps and to actually work on them. And together with our with our panelists today, we're happy to have them today, because they're from different backgrounds and also a resourceful panelists today. We have today with us Michel Frem, as already Arturo presented. We have Michel Frem. Michel Frem is a PhD researcher at IHE Delft and also TU Delft, and he holds various positions across across his career. And within this his positions, he holds the chair of the UNESCO Groundwater Youth Network, and also part of the IWRA. We also have with us Amrita. Amrita is a civil engineer pursuing her PhD as well in hydroinformatics, and she has been awarded with Women with Vision in 2018 and the Ambassador for Rising Smart Water Professionals in 2021. And she's also today here with us as the founder of the Pani Water with us. And we also have with us, Amin Shakia is the member of the Youth for Rhine. He's also pursuing his PhD in the University of Twente in remote sensing, and he also leads multiple online youth consultation sessions within the Youth for Rhine, and also he is leading the scientific committee of the Groundwater and Youth Network as a voluntary commitment. As you can see, we have a very interesting panelist today with us to discuss the different water challenges and of course also opportunities. And I'm here also with you as the IWRA chair, the chair for the Early Career and Youth Professionals Task Force. I also have holding my master's degrees from in water and sustainable resources from IHE, and I'm happy to be here with you today. So as we start, I'll give you a very short introduction about the IWRA, the ECYP task force, and we'll carry on with our respective panelists with us today. Present here, so the Early Career and Youth Professionals is part of one of the IWRA's task force, and our main objective here, as you guys were also interacting in the Mentimeter, is we strive to better understand the needs of the early career and youth professionals, to target and engage them in different activities through different multimedias, and of course, provide opportunities for them to grow, to learn, and to network, and increase their membership engagement, either it was through IWRA or across our RWRA partners, and create a stronger voice for the young professionals. With these objectives, we are doing them in different means, and we're having them from different working groups, which are the webinar series, the social media, the social media working group, the outreach and partnership working group, and the Water Speaks. Our webinar series are always focused on addressing complex water challenges and opportunities that lie from there, and how we can be responding to them. One of our webinar series were focused on the transboundary water, the role of the SDGs, and the nexus. So this is a webinar series that we hold consecutively at our task force, and we always focus on having different panels from different backgrounds, and also from an intergenerational perspective, to give a common ground for an intergenerational dialogue. And as part of our webinar series, we once held a very interesting webinar where we conducted we reflected on the water challenges from the past, present, and future in an intergenerational dialogue, and we posted this. We have a paper posted on the Water International. You can access it and read our insights based on this webinar that we had. And as part of our other working group, the outreach working group, it focuses on the networking cafes. It brings together individuals from various organizations with an aim of facilitating collaboration among the participants, the knowledge sharing, and of course, the networking after all. We had different networking cafes, and we also collaborated with different water organizations, mainly the Water Youth Parliament for Water, the MedUWAT, the Water Youth Network, the European Youth Parliament for Water, and UNESCO's Groundwater Youth Network, and Water Illusion. we always foster this kind of synergies between bringing together different organizations in the water sector, because what we aim at the end is to engage the young professionals in the different sectors, also not people that are just focused on one discipline, but we always foster the interdisciplinary collaboration among this global network. And I would say that we really have, after every global network, we really get a lot of positive feedback from the participants that they met people together where they later on work together in the future, they connected. So this is, although like, because we are a global working group, we're having it online to foster this collaboration across the globe from different areas. And another working group that we have, the Water Speaks. The Water Speaks, yes. The Water Speaks working group, which is a podcast on Twitter Space. It gives the opportunity for giving more of an informal discussion on the water sector. And what's very interesting about this Twitter space is that it gives it to the wider audience, not only people that are engaged in the water, but mostly people to engage in the water sector, and the water challenges, and in the water opportunities, because we believe that we're all, after all, united in this aspect. So this is the Water Speaks. We held different sessions. It first began with the Water Your Stories, which engaged more participants in talking about their water stories, the Groundwater Speaks, and the nature-based solution. You're most welcome to scan the QR code here and connect with us on Twitter Space, so that you can be always getting in touch in our upcoming sessions and our upcoming podcast sessions. And with that, we always hear about what is needed the most for the young professionals to actually be active members in this sector. And we know that it is the mentorship. They need the mentorship. And this is something that we're actively working on as part of the IWRA and the ECYP task force, is to create this mentorship task force, whereby we can be linking senior professionals or mid-career professionals with the young professionals, so that they can lead their way and be guided on how to proceed in their career, and of course create this networking among them, and this guidance for them to be able to thrive in this sector and to actually voice their needs. So this is this mentorship task force is being held in progress, and we hope that we will be initiating it very, very soon. With this, I would invite you to join our IWRA membership, and we have two different kinds of membership, whether it was from an individual membership or an institutional membership. We have free entry levels, and we also have premium experience, where you get the chance to have access to documents, to research, to contacts within the IWRA membership structure. You can really know more about them from if you can scan this QR code. There's a lot of QR codes here, but I can also send in the chat box our link, so that you can know more about our activities, our different task forces, and of course join the community with us. We're so happy to see you joining us, and if you have any questions, please drop it in the Q&A section. We will also have some time to answer your questions, but we'll be moving on with our panelists. So thank you so much for your time now, and I'll be handing over the time for Michel Frame for his presentation. And Michel, please feel free to introduce yourself in the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Rewa, for your presentation. It was indeed very interesting. I'm familiar with some of those things, since I'm also a member of as a task force that you are leading. And actually, I'm representing this task force in UNESCO Groundwater Use Network. And then I got elected as chair for this network, and I still have like 8 to 10 months in this position, and then we will be giving this responsibility to someone new. But I hope that we succeeded in putting a solid and a strong foundation for this recently formed network. So I guess you also introduced me in the beginning with my professional affiliation, so I will directly start with the presentation. So today I'll be speaking about youth empowerment in the groundwater sector and how we are advocating for inclusive decision-making processes in this field. So first of all, as most of you know, 2022 was the year of groundwater. And obviously, this would be the perfect timing to launch a new network related to groundwater. So UNESCO, since youth are a major and a priority group at UNESCO, and since they are also working on groundwater as part of the water science division in UNESCO, they noticed that there is no entity worldwide, a global entity that is working on youth and groundwater at the same time. So that's how all the idea started. So they created the Groundwater Use Network. And since then, this network had several activities that we will discuss in a few minutes, and we had several meetings in person and virtual. In our first General Assembly that took place a year ago, so in July 2022, we were 850 members, and the latest numbers that we have in July 2023 show an increase of 500 members in 1 year, which is on average like 2 members per day, which is, I guess, a great number for us and very motivating. So looking at the distribution, so we also have some maps. So we saw the maps of the members who are attending today's event, but I'm also showing the percentage of Groundwater Use Network members from a geographical perspective, and we compared them with the global population, see if they are aligned. So in Europe and North America and in Latin America and the Caribbean, the percentages are comparable. So it's appropriate, more or less. And we see in Asia, we have a deficit. So the global population is almost twice the number of twice the percentage of the members that we have from this region. But the most interesting thing that we noticed is that in Africa and the Arab states, the percentage of members that we have is almost 3 times more than the global population percentage of this region. And this is aligned with the water scarcity situation in the world. So where water scarcity is mostly affecting the regions, youth are more engaged in those water use-led networks. In 2022, so our first year, we were launched during the Dakar World Water Forum. So that was in March 2022, and our first steering committee meeting took place, and our first appearance on the global level, it was also an IWRA event, and it's the IWRA Global Networking Cafe that you mentioned, Rewa, in your previous presentation. And then we had our first General Assembly, and we participated in many international events and also regional events. So I'm not detailing all of them. And we concluded the year with the Groundwater Summit, where we organized the Groundwater Use Forum, and we announced the first ever Use Declaration on groundwater. So on the next slides, I will be detailing just 2 of those events because they generated a very important outcome. So starting with WMO HydroHub Symposium for Youth. So we created a forum and we collected feedback from youth from all around the world. And we noticed that the most important groundwater related issues from the opinion of those youth was the groundwater level decline as the top priorities. And the second one was groundwater contamination. And this is interesting also because groundwater contamination is overlooked in many of the policies in many countries. And it's interesting to see that youth are aware of this challenge. And other issues that were reported by youth were the decrease of groundwater recharge. It was the 3rd most important groundwater issue in their opinion, and they also noticed that the degradation of groundwater-dependent ecosystems is very important, as well as seawater intrusion, and in some countries, groundwater level rise, not groundwater level decline, is important because it's affecting the existing infrastructure in many countries. And another thing that we noticed is that in many countries, groundwater guidelines do not exist. But the most interesting thing is that in several countries, as we see on the map in the gray color, that youth do not know if groundwater guidelines exist in their countries, although those youth are members of a groundwater-related network, which is ours. So this shows that there is a gap between policy and the youth who are interested in science and in research. Our next event that I will discuss here is the Groundwater Youth Forum that was organized as part of the Groundwater Summit that took place in UNESCO's headquarters in December 2022. So we organized a plenary session, which is the Groundwater Youth Forum, and we had an intergenerational panel. But as you see in the bottom left picture, so we had a panel, but this panel was formed by I guess six members were less than 35 years old, and we only had 2 panelists above the age of 35. So it was almost purely youth-led, but we also wanted to have this intergenerational dialogue between the 2 generations. And we had very important seniors with us from the African Development Bank, and from the Ministry of Water in Indonesia, and also we had John Cherry, who is known to be one of the most important scientists in the groundwater history. And we also organized a side event, and before that, the Groundwater Youth Forum, we had several youth consultation sessions online with our regional leads. So we consulted all the different regions that I showed in the previous map, and we produced the youth declaration on groundwater, which you can see here, and it includes 19 commitments from us as Groundwater Youth Network to the global population. So I will show later on some actions that we are taking to make these commitments into a real action on the ground. So I will also share a link to this declaration, but here I'm just selecting few of the 19 commitments to show you an example. So we will be advocating for groundwater education, for a holistic cross-sectoral groundwater management approach. We will promote the role of groundwater in increasing resilience to climate variabilities, and this was also something that we noticed from our consultation as one of the most important topics for youth. We will encourage public engagement in groundwater protection. We will call for investment in groundwater monitoring, and to adopt evidence-based decision-making approaches by policymakers. And we will also advocate for more investment in the research and in the job market. We will also advocate for open data and science, and we will also ask for establishing groundwater legislation and regulatory frameworks where needed. That was 2022, so I will move quickly to 2023. So it was the year of accelerating change in the water sector. So its beginning was mostly having a focus on the UN Water Conference that happened for the first time since 40 years. And we were also there at this conference. We organized several events. We participated and contributed to some important sessions as well. And most importantly, since this conference wanted to have a focus on action, so we have the Water Action Agenda and the commitments from all the member states and other stakeholders. So we also took our groundwater declaration, and we presented this declaration in this very important conference. And we will have also a next step, which is to make this declaration a concrete action plan. So first, I will quickly present how we thought about it. So we planned our campaign first, then we created an awareness session by organizing several consultation sessions, as I mentioned, and we talked about this declaration in all the events that we attended. And now we are in the third phase of generating engagement. And if you scan this QR code, you can pick one of the 19 commitments and start working on it, or suggesting an action plan from your side in your local area, or a global initiative. And that we will also encourage as much as possible, and in all ways that we are able to. And finally, we will be aiming to sustain this momentum and not to stop at this phase. So we did, I guess, a good job so far, but we didn't reach our ultimate objective. So we will keep working to reach it. And before finalizing, so I still have, I guess, 1 minute, I have some announcements. So now we are organizing a doctoral conference with University of Zagreb, and if you follow us on social media, you can find links to this conference where you can submit your research. Also to the Young Professionals Congress organized by IWRA, we are also supporting this conference, and with the Early Career Hydrogeologist Network of IAH, we are also aiming to promote a certain collaboration in terms of membership soon. So if you follow us again on social media, you will see those updates. And finally, the 10th World Water Forum in Bali 2024. So we were announced and launched in a World Water Forum to be like in 2022, and we aim to be there again in the World Water Forum 2024. So we submitted a proposal, and we will be seeking support and trying to lobby for our proposal to get accepted there, and to show to the world that a network that was born 2 years ago in the same conference can reach maturity in 2 years in terms of action and activity, and can organize something concrete and solid in 2 years. And finally, so I will take 30 more seconds. I usually start with this slide that you all know probably if you attended previous presentations from my side. So I always show those figures. Groundwater accounts for 97% of global freshwater resources, etc. But this time I'm putting it at the end for a reason. So in my opinion, this slide is very egocentric. So it shows how we as humans only look at groundwater as a resource. So it's very important. We need to use our resources, but we need to use it in a sustainable way. Also to consider other ecosystems and other users. And the value of water has diverse, water has diverse values, starting from the economic value, but also it has social values and other values and ecological values, as you can see in those beautiful pictures that are taken for groundwater in Lebanon. So this shows that groundwater is not invisible in all cases. So it tries from time to time to become visible in its discharge areas like caves, wetlands, springs, also some marine springs. So groundwater, for me, it's not invisible, but it's invisible for many policy and decision makers. And that's our role, to promote groundwater and to promote its importance on a global and on a local scale, to show that it needs to be protected and it needs to be sustainably managed. So if you have some beautiful touristic attractions that groundwater made, also please write them in the chat so we can take a look on them and enjoy those beautiful landscapes. And finally, don't forget to follow us on our social media. And if you would like to join us, we would be more than happy, and you can scan this QR code. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michel. Thank you for sharing this very interesting presentation and for actually showing us how groundwater is important. Sometimes we overlook it, while, as you were saying, it's not invisible, rather it could be visible for us. And thank you for also focusing on advocating and youth empowerment for being an inclusive in the decision-making process within your organization. I'll leave for you, the participants, if you have any questions for Michel, please drop it in the Q&A box, and we will be answering them after all the presentations are done. With that, I will be moving to our next panelist with Amin Shakia, and we'll talk more about the youth advocacy from the case of the Rhine Basin. Amin Shakia, please feel free to also introduce yourself in the beginning if you'd like, and to present. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Thanks Arturo and Rewa for this organizing this event and for a nice interactive session earlier. Thanks Michelle also for a nice presentation. I'm Amin Shaki. I am currently representing Youth for the Rhine, and I'm also involved with Groundwater Youth Network. And in my professional life, I'm currently working as a PhD candidate at the University of Twente in the Netherlands. I'll quickly try to share my screen. So today we'll be going briefly through Youth for the Rhine, what we're doing here. And before we start, let's quickly go to the second slide, because here we have, again, another Mentimeter, which I think follows up well with what Rewa just did. While you guys are scanning the Menti code, like Rewa explained earlier, I will quickly walk us through the picture on the right, which is the Rhine Basin. It's one of the most well-organized transboundary river basins in the world. Let me check if I can get a pointer. Oops. So it starts from the Swiss Alps mountainous region around Basel and Lake Constance, and then it flows downstream through France and Strasbourg, through Frankfurt in Germany, and a couple other countries, and eventually to the Netherlands, where it forms this chaotic delta and finally drains out to the North Sea in Rotterdam. It's a very important river basin and a major source of discharge from Europe to the North Sea. I suppose we should be done with the QR code now. So let me try to switch to Mentimeter. Yeah, we have 16 people in, that's good. If anyone needs more time, can you see my Mentimeter screen, or is it still stuck in the PowerPoint?
We can still see the PowerPoint.
Right, let me try to reshare it. Apologies. Okay, I share my screen now. This should work, yeah?
Yes.
So I noticed that we already have 18 people here. So let's continue with the Mentimeter. Following up on Rewa's question, we talked a lot about youth should be involved in climate action. So I want to give the floor to the audience and ask why. Like, why do we need youth to be engaged in climate action? Why cannot just experts, people probably in their 40s or 50s, maybe 60s, why cannot only they take care of it? Because they're probably experts, yeah? All right, good to see a few answers here. Youth bring new ideas, they're change makers. It affects all of us, future, innovation, a lot of nice ideas. One I'd like to add though to this would be that when we think about it, the younger you are, the more likely you're gonna be affected by the impacts of climate change, right? So we talk about different climate scenarios, RCPs, blah, 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 which pretty much means the longer we go along the time, the worse the climate gets for people. And in the end, the youth and perhaps the unborn are the ones who have to face the worst of climate change. So I guess it's also our responsibility and purpose to do something about it. And I have just one more slide. We talked about what can be done. Now, how can people be engaged in climate action? Because there is a difference between having a purpose or a need for something to be done and how it can be achieved. I'll give the audience a bit more time. Perfect. We're getting some responses now. Community participation, engagement, interesting ideas. It's important to engage community. Also, there are talks about local knowledge and indigenous knowledge, which mainstream science in the past have in a way ignored, which are being highlighted as being important. A lot of other ideas as well, and it's really nice to see these many answers. Yeah, I guess it in a way sums up the presentation still now. Moving on, I will quickly show what we as Youth for the Rhine have been doing in the past couple of years, and then we move on. Thanks again for this really interactive session. So what is Youth for the Rhine? It's a youth-led initiative meant to engage youth and co-create ideas. We follow this ABCD model, which pretty much is meant to link authorities, businesses, civil services, as well as demos meaning people with an emphasis on the youth. And this was formed in collaboration between IH Delft, a research institute in the Netherlands, as well as Rijkswaterstaat, Ministry of Water Resources in the Netherlands, as well as youth organization Water Youth Network. And currently, Youth for the Rhine also has a strong partnership with Groundwater Youth Network, which Michelle and I are also representing. Next, moving on, we have in the past and still now done a lot of events, highlighting youth consultation events that we did. A lot of them online, also because we started around 2020 when there was COVID ongoing. So it was also nice to have this online mechanism to bring people from internationally together and launch climate campaigns. At the same time, there are different working groups working on water quality, nature-based solutions, etc. And the organization, as already said, is being led primarily by IH Delft, a leading water resource research institute in the Netherlands. Next, we want to create this network as a place to engage the youth, as well as promote our members' their own career advancement, etc. Few more pictures from the work we already did. In the interest of time, I'll be a bit quick and just showcase few other work that we've done so far. Few different conferences where we've done youth advocacy, the last one here being European River Summit. And finally, if you guys are interested to join us, feel free to scan this QR code. Again, like I said, Youth for the Rhine is focused on the Rhine Basin, but also it's a, in a way, ideal transboundary river system to study and also to try to replicate engagement processes in other river basins as well. So we're also looking for members, not just from the European countries where the Rhine Basin lies, but also globally. So in case you guys are interested, feel free to scan the QR code. And finally, currently, we are doing a flood risk perception survey. So in case you guys would be interested, feel free to scan the QR code and fill a very short survey. That's all from my side. Thanks, everyone. And yeah.
Thank you, Amin. Thank you, Amin, for your interactive presentation and for actually seeing that a lot of activities could be happening around, and there's a lot of space for youth engagement. So this is great to see. Thank you so much. Now, again, I will repeat, any questions, please post them on the Q&A chat box so that we can get them answered later in our Q&A section. And with that, I'll go for Amrita with her presentation on the Youth for Water and her story from the drink pani in Nepal. Amrita, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Reva. Now I'll share my screen here today. Actually, we are very thankful to International Water Resources Association for creating this space for all the youth aspiring professionals around the world to attend this session. We are trying to share our experiences, and there are so many other youth from different parts of the world who are listening, and I hope that we'll get to hear their stories in different other platforms as well. And I'm really glad to share this panel with very great, interesting other experiences from different regions of the world. And yeah, definitely we're talking about what are different initiatives taken by youth and led by youth, and how it is making a good action for water, sanitation, and climate. And today I'm going to talk about Youth for the Water and how the story is being built about Drink Pani that is happening in Nepal, and we are trying to create ripple effect from there. It's possible to Asia and around the world in some time. Let's see how does it go. So to talk about my profile and the way I'm introducing myself, I am doctoral research trying to finalize my PhD in a few months, and at the same time, based on this doctoral research, I've initiated this research-based initiative, Drink Pani, and I'm glad that my doctoral research is not just limited to something that I'll be talking about the research paper or the title, but there will be something in the ground with some impact, and with me or without me, it will be there for a longer time till the water exists, I guess. So, as I already told, we've been talking from different initiatives that youth are not just the leaders for tomorrow. Youth, with like any experience we are the leaders also for today. And there can be win-win situation if our motivation or involvement can be considered with the fact youth are the best learners and contributors at the same time. And as I just said, this initiative, this is a part of my ongoing doctoral research, where water supply and quality monitoring using emerging technologies is the main focus area. Hence, youth are the key actors as young water volunteers assigned officially in water clubs. We also considered and say it as Drink Pani clubs, with intensive training and tools for water sampling, test, data collection, reporting, and sharing under youth-led participatory sensing. We call it YPS model in progress. So that's why for the pilot case study, 2 schools named Janapriya Higher Secondary School and Gurukul Vidyashram were chosen to cover the area of 2 selected water supply schemes of Pokhara Metropolitan City, the case study area that I've chosen to do the work in Nepal. Some of you might have heard about this particular metropolitan city, and some of you will hear maybe afterwards, after listening to this, might be curious more about the area. So here you can already see, I just wanted to put this picture to start the story, because wherever we go, whatever we do, this will be the foundation baseline for Drink Pani and our initiative, our team, how we tried to start our research from school, talking with school students, trying to understand their capacities, their curiosities, the challenges that we face, different kind of motivation, different kind of demotivation, different kind of institutional, social, and technological and governance structure interlinkages, and how it is something that we can actually create a breeze for data collection and kind of information flow the long run to feed for evidence-informed decision making. So these are some picture. It always motivates me a lot when I do my work, seeing their smiling faces, seeing their curiosity at times make me feel that, yeah, this is it. This is how we need to be unstoppable doing our work. And to be very, very honest, when I started my PhD, I never know that while I'm trying to while I've been trying to do my PhD, trying to be somebody in my sector, definitely trying to get this title of being doctorate in this subject, and trying to be more expert, or like maybe for different matters, like how I can have better life and everything. Like those are all the goals, objectives in the beginning. But trust me, over these years now, when I see the inspiration, the keen interest or the empowerment of all these youth eyes or youth inspiration, or like at times I fail to give the proper word, because they are the fire of all the motivation. They can actually change the way they want to do the things. We just need to give them kind of ignition and try to show them the path, and they are the ones who will lead their way on their own. So we are just the torch bearers. We can just be like, actually there are so many other people who have actually shown us the way, and we've been understanding how it helps a lot when we get some kind of motivation or some kind of guidance, and actually it changes our life and our motivation, how we can not just be good for us or somebody who can contribute for the family or society, but for the larger scale, also for the region and for the globe. So this is the idea we've been trying to understand. And here in Drink Pan Initiative, at times I get very emotional understanding their curiosity, trying to become as much as good they can be in the sector, and trying to learn when they actually try to learn different parts of the learning from the region, from the project they are given there. And this actually makes me very, very motivated to give everything, all the effort that I can provide, regardless of what comes in between while I'm finishing my PhD. That's why I've already said in so many platforms while I'm talking to either government body or organizations, youth colleagues, and anybody around the world. Now I can see myself that I'm not just completing the PhD. Now it has given me an insight that PhD is one journey where I got more insight about what is my role as a normal human being, a professional, and when I'm trying to support myself, how I can support the community back, and how I can support other different professionals who are trying to strive in the sector, and especially the upcoming generation, where we can work together and learn. Actually, when I'm telling them something as a mentor, they are also becoming my mentor. It's an exchange offer, I think, the way we work. So, and we all know, I don't have to talk a lot about the issues in the background. We've seen much of the issues around the world, where especially there is one reference I can like showcase here. This is an image where this is an overview of proportion of population using improved source and case of E. coli detection. And here in the case of Nepal, we can see more than 91% it's improved source, and more than 70% it's improved source, but with E. coli detection. So it means that there is a huge demand of monitoring mechanism in its place. And in the right-hand side of the image, we can see about 2.2 million people die from diarrhea each year, and about 90% children, like they mostly from the developing countries. And the context of Nepal, about 44,000 children under the age of five die every year due to the lack of proper safe water and sanitation facilities. So we can understand this devastating or very hard truth, that how crucial the situation it lies in the world, and how we are suffering actually in our local ground. And just to see this, it's not enough. What we can do from our side, at least a small bit, we need to try. And I think, and every one of us today who are present in this platform, in this webinar, I think we are trying our best from our side. And it is always very enriching to share our experiences, to understand the challenges we have been through, and how we can get motivated in a continuous manner while we are doing our works in our sector, and try to do more from all the experiences, hearing the motivation. And just to summarize the issues basically that we've been dealing, definitely when we talk about water supply, quality monitoring, and then technologies required in the sector, yeah, it is behind. The situation is that, like, there is a huge gap of data, there is data scarcity. definitely climate risk we've been talking about, we need to deal with. And most of the times when we go to the different water utilities areas, I mean the coverage area where pipeline or even the community taps are there, or even the different kind of water system, it's there. Most of the times it's not being monitored in the supply side and also especially in the quality side. And the very common answer we get from them is that they say we don't have enough manpower to handle the water quality monitoring, and also the different issues in water supply monitoring, and definitely especially the water quality part is our focus. And this is a very devastating and very critical situation in most of the areas of our country, and it is a sector unexplored, especially in the context of water quality monitoring. And definitely capacity building is the situation we need to work very in a foundational basis for the long run. And yeah, we are here to talk about shaping future with whatever we can do. And we definitely have not forgotten to talk about the gender perspectives wherever we go. We want to be human when we do our work or raise our voice, but many times we are given this understanding that we need to fight for our survival, we need to fight for our work, we need to fight for our voice, being one part of this humankind, being a female or being a woman, being a girl child. There can be so many discrimination. There can be discrimination for even the male child. There can be different discrimination. So we need to talk about how we break this kind of barriers when we need to deal with gender perspectives as well. And talking about dealing with different issues, the main question came across to our work is that is there a regulation in drinking water quality monitoring mechanism? This is what we've been looking through, and one of the main topic inside this main one is that youth being center of this water quality monitoring initiative. Does it work? Does it support or not? And what kind of suitable design it should lead? And what about the data accuracy, reliability, and sustainability of the model? And also, what about the knowledge tapping of the local women in this process? Due to the time limitation, I might not go in every detail, like how we've been working and with which other factors, support mechanisms, everything. So I'm just giving the basic impression and summary view. So if you have any question, we can always talk afterwards, okay? So this is the case study area. I'm just giving an overview. I think most of you know where the Nepal lies in the picture of the world, and especially the case study area, this Pokhara Metropolitan City. I think most of you may know or might not know. This is inside Gandaki province of our country and inside Kaski district. This is the one picture. I just wanted to inform you about the location. So yeah, in a summary statement about our objective in Drink Pani, we stated as it intends to bridge the gap between water utilities and communities in information flow on water supply and quality as youth as key actors and ICTs, information and communication technologies, as the main tool to navigate the path to reach policymakers for evidence-informed decision making. So this is the key idea we've been working through, and this is one of the composite picture which talks about methodological approach from supply system to decision making in a loop. And I want to just focus into surveillance monitoring part, because as we've been talking about the gap, the problem in adequate manpower, though there are equipments given to different water utilities and water supply providers, and they are responsible to monitor water supply and quality, but it's not happening. So yeah, that's why, to understand why this gap is happening and how youth energy can be supportive, or whether it can be supportive or not, we are trying to do this research, and these are the different components we are dealing with. And definitely our main focus is to support in regulation of drinking water monitoring in the water supply schemes from the lens of surveillance monitoring, and having youth in the center role and giving them the weapon, the ICTs as the weapon, and different sorts of their energy as the boosters and support mechanism from different societal or governance components. And this is also another overview just about, just to give an impression about how during Pani team, we divide different kind of responsibilities and how we are working through to reach the targets that we've been deriving. Definitely, this is a long process. We are just in an initial phase to understand the different steps and the challenges and the achievements that we can take it forward. We can take it forward and can make upgrade and more better initiatives or more better steps. I mean, in this initiative, more better steps to upgrade this initiative. So this is an ongoing process. This is co-design and this is a continuous process. So yeah, this is an impression to talk about our mobile app and the website. And we all know that water works in the first line of defense to drive healthy living. And we at Drink Pani, we believe in shaping digital water future. And this is some of the glimpses of how it looks about our mobile app, and also when we click in our website. But like to be very honest, as I have already said, we are in a very initial phase of investigating different things. So it's in beta version and we are in continuous upgrade process. So any kind of comment or critique or suggestion, recommendation, everything is very welcome, and we'll be glad to have it incorporated. And it's also another impression on initial diagram, or initial version of our whole flow diagram, how we've been dealing with the idea of database, and how our team, we are trying to be at the center to coordinate to have a coordination between technician and also decision makers and water utility and community, and also the governance part, and how we are trying to support the data collection and also the visualization, and how it can be a feed for effective action that's required. And these are some impressions from the field activities where youth are taken to different sampling points and also given training from experts. And also we've been working with a local woman and trying to make them understand that how it is important to combine the energy of youth and local indigenous women and the community working together, special users committee, to have win-win situation for everybody. And this is the initial, this is also another glimpse of how it looks like to have initial findings where there was no data at all in the area to have kind of one kind of figure or kind of data visualization. But now we are able to trace a very initial form of data accumulation. And like as I already said, this is a long way to go, but this is a one good feeling to see that there is a potential of receiving data if we get more focused on this initiative and for its potential, if we can feed it with like dealing with all the challenges we are facing at the moment in the field, and when we can actually signify this partnership in the local area, it definitely has got a lot of potential to have a very good data collection mechanism in a regular basis. So here in both sides, you can see in one side water quality index part from one of the distribution network area of the water supply scheme of that selected metropolitan city, and the right hand side you can also see the graph showing pH, electric conductivity, free residual chlorine, total hardness, and equally data visualization. So this is just an information that we are trying to show you how we are walking through in the process of data collection and trying to teach or trying to incorporate or involve a youth energy in learning and contributing data at the same time, making them empowered, but also getting their contribution for the regular data collection process to feed into evidence-informed decision making. More impression on the activities in water testing and quality monitoring. And this is one very unforgettable phase where, regular data collection in the field had to be stopped because of Corona phase. and lockdown, and we could not send our young water volunteers to the field. But at that point, we got to have more innovative ideas to run boot camps and video storytelling series. So we take every challenge as an opportunity, and that was one of the belief. We got more confident. We got to be more confident in this idea, and that was one of the time we understood that we can actually run various workshops and training programs, especially boot camps, and we have that energy within our team, within young water volunteers and our focal points and coordinators in the area. So this is also to talk about the challenges and actually the way forward in a various farm in the area where we thought that we could not go forward when there is corona and where there is no option to go into the field. But then there we found out another option, and actually we got more confident in polishing our digital tools, especially app and website. So this is always a learning phase when we get some kind of challenge in between. And this is one information I just wanted to inform here while closing my slides for today. This is the Drink Pani data cycle, where we've been working in a continuous basis, like from the point of supporting water utilities and also the end users communities, and actually to support in decision-making process with evidence-informed mechanism. We are now supporting, we are in the process to support national WAS management information system, we call it NWAS, means for Nepal, and we are supporting the data feed in this area from Pokhara Metropolitan City. Actually, we have taken just one cluster to understand how does it work to feed the data into a national database system, and that is why we are very motivated and very also feel challenged, because while we are trying to do some research, it is also now taking the path for the implementation phase, and also something that we can contribute for the national database system. So this is something coming from that idea, how we connect from science to policy, and then also the implementation and the real practice kind of thing. So this is one final information to tell you that while we are trying to upgrade the idea of improving youth-led participant sensing model inside our Drink Pan initiative. Initially, we took into account the involvement of school students, and then slowly over the years, we also found out that what kind of potential do the school students have got, and what kind of potential we need from the university students. So understanding those challenges and motivation in the year 2022, with the help of Ministry of Water Supply and also the NWAS MIS team from Department of Water Supply and Sewerage, and all the different national and international agencies working in Nepal. Also definitely the key water utilities, Leknath Water Supply Scheme and Nepal Water Supply Corporation Pokhara branch, with the help of everyone, especially the help of UNICEF, WHO, and Ministry of Water Supply and Sewerage, Ministry of Water Supply, DWSSM, the department. We got to make another set of Young Water Volunteers 2.0 second batch, and in this time we called for the young water volunteers from 5 different institutions, from 2 big universities of our country, Trine University and Pokhara University. And this time we called upon not only we called upon the students from engineering department, like from civil, also from the computer informatics, and also from the public health. So we are trying to understand the potential of different student groups from different institutions. And this time we took the number of 25 to understand the very concrete work they can do. Actually, in the school side time, we took out like about 50 students from 80 initial selection. So these are the numbers we've been dealing with, but if you're interested, I can share more of the information on the impact side later on. This is just the impression, how we are working with each and every steps, understanding the challenges, trying to be consistent, not losing our hope, and especially with all the motivation that we have been acquiring, working with local, regional, and global like-minded bodies, like agencies, and thinking that we are unstoppable if we are determined in our ideas and in our efforts, and if we feel that our creation and our effort and our consistency are the keys to achieve everything that we think for, and especially when we talk about youth for water, climate, and youth for water, sanitation, climate action, and we are here to work together. And I would like to give a note of thanks and acknowledgements to all the stakeholders we are working together. If I miss somebody, we'll be glad to incorporate later on. And thank you, everyone. If you have any question, definitely you can reach us out in this email address. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita. This is definitely inspiring, and I can see also from the chat box you've shared a lot of insights on some barriers and also opportunities that that we can be looking on. It was very nice, and maybe if you can also share the findings, is it on a link or so that we can post it on the chat box? For I'm sure a lot here might be very interested to look into the findings of your research. Thank you so much. So I'll leave now the floor for the participants to post their questions on the Q&A box, and we will get them answered. It's just that Amin Shakia had to step out for other commitments, but if you have any questions for him, please feel free to pose it, and we will be forwarding the questions to him. I'll look at our questions here in the chat box. First question from Iman. Iman would like to get in contact with you, Michelle. So if you can just type your email in the chat box or in answering the question for Iman to get in touch. And we have other question from Emmanuel. How can youth work in collaborative ministry to ensure access to water, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, where the water is scarce? And also give us idea on how youth tap into resources to fully take action on the matters water. And he's asking from the African perspective. Anyone from our panelists would like to answer this question? Emmanuel, this question?
Yeah, I can probably start.
Sure, Michelle, thank you.
Yes. So in Africa, we have also a working group and groundwater use network focusing on Africa, and they generated already a certain a certain paper or document that outlines the challenges faced in Africa. So I can share it with you, Emmanuel, if you can write your email, so I can send you this document or presentation. And in terms of water scarcity, yes, so groundwater takes a big importance where surface water is more scarce. So in Africa, we know in many countries, it's a big challenge. So they are tapping some, for example, I worked in an area where sand rivers, so shallow alluvial aquifers are tapped. So those systems are usually used historically from several years ago, but now there are new methods and techniques to enhance their water storage capacity. So this is something that is being developed in the last 20, 30 years. So that's an option in the remote areas, for example. And you know, in Africa, a lot of hard rock aquifers exist. So tapping the conduit or the fracture itself might be challenging sometimes. So here, geophysical techniques could help in detecting those fractures and the large fractures before drilling, for example. But in all cases, we should keep in mind that we should not abstract more than the sustainable yield, which is also taking into account the needs and the demands of other users other than us as humans again.
Thank you, Michelle. And I think that would have answered Emmanuel's question. If you please, Michelle, if you can just post your email, it was posted on.
Yeah, I sent it.
Okay.
It's in the chat box.
Yes. Okay. We have another question. What are the latest techniques to assess the reliability and sustainability of water availability model when the required site-specific data is not available for the modeling process? I think this is a very specific and technical question. Would you like to go for it, Amrita or Michelle? Wesley's question.
Yeah, I can also probably try to answer it. So yeah, in many areas where I worked and personally, I faced the problem of not having enough data. So the only way to overcome this challenge was relying on local knowledge. So in some cases, I had to ask people living in those areas, so how many days they had seen the river being flooded per year and which seasons, etc. So sometimes you can rely on local knowledge from the local people living in your study area if you don't have any like hard data in hand. And the other alternative will be remote sensing, like relying on vapor data or other sources of remote sensing data. So in all cases, there will be uncertainties. So even if you have hard data and you are using them in a model, so in that case, it will be also uncertain. So imagine without having hard data, so the uncertainty will be much higher. So in all cases, take precautions while recommending and concluding based on your models.
Thank you. And look into the other questions as well. We have a question for you, Amrita, from Iman, asking what about the melting in the Himalaya glaciers and the danger of water quantity in the future?
Thank you for the question, Iman. Yeah, I was also looking for that question. Definitely, this is one of the huge challenges we are facing and anticipating more in future while we are talking about climate consequences and how we need to deal with. And to be very, very honest, we are normally prepared for general kind of issues that we've been facing since long, landslides and normal kind of issues locally and flood, but we are not very prepared for this kind of massive glacier melting and kind of a situation that we might not understand how to deal with in a very proper way in the location. And also while we talk about how we make our water supply entire system protective for this kind of climate consequence, especially when it comes with massive flood and glacier melting impact effect. It is very important to understand how we do how do we select the area where it has to be placed, and how we make better network and partnership with the local organization dealing with the issue, because we as just one utility side or one kind of organization cannot deal with this situation in the long run, because there are several factors affecting this one factor. So we have to work together hand in hand and need to understand which particular factor is actually impacting, and whether this will happen just for one time, or this will be a recurrent thing, or in which range or in which scale this impact or danger will be there, and what kind of early warning system, or what kind of protective mechanism, or what kind of emergency preparedness we need to be prepared for. So this is not a very easy answer to answer in a very short time right now, but we can definitely talk about it if you have more curiosity to talk on this topic more in detail. Thank you, Iman.
Thank you, Amrita. I'm also seeing now, I'm checking also the chat box. We have another question for you, Amrita. What are the quality issues in your project area? And how is the community adaptation to the solution?
Thank you, Sachin, for this question. And normally I always say like being very honest, but yeah, this is how I am, I think. And at times I get into problems when I talk things very honestly, because being a researcher and also being a female leader in the initiative, I at times was given threatened also in the local area. So it's not easy to work when we try to raise the issue of water quality and also the issues in quantity and also the requirement how we need to incorporate youth and how we need to deal with these quality issues. At times, I mean, there are people, there are professionals, there are leaders who would like to address the problems that's going on in the area, and they are very helping, they are very supportive, and this is very motivating. But at the same time, there are people who are working in a very old school thought, and they think that when the people who have been dealing with this issue in their very structured way or in their in the way they want to make it happen, at times they don't want to break this kind of the ceiling or the wall they have made, and then they take it as a threat. So yeah, it has been challenging to talk about the water quality issues and then to make understand our leaders or the people who are working in the area. But I should be very honest telling it in the both balance side. There are people who are helping very honestly, and that is how we can work in that area, and that is how we are thriving from local to international level. At the same time, there has been so many hard situations, demotivating factors, and then very frustrating situation. At times I feel like that I will stop everything and I'll just focus to complete my PhD and research paper, and I'll do nothing about this initiative. So yeah, but coming back to the because I got overwhelmed, emotional, you see, when I talk about the issues in the area, because this has not been my PhD research. This has yeah, incorporated with so many emotional side of me being a researcher and also trying to do something in that area beyond my research target for the completion of PhD. And talking about the water quality issues in that area, yeah, definitely there is a huge issue, especially E. coli side, like the microbiological contamination. That's why we've been telling them that there should be regular monitoring mechanism, and also the community adaptation should be there. Especially there has to become information flow between utility side and government and also stakeholders and communities. So yeah, definitely also to this question, if you're interested more, we can talk about it afterwards in detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita. Actually, from here also, I can think of another question, that because you touched on a lot of barriers, whether from public health, the water quality, this all circulates around also the policy. In your opinion, what do you think are the specific steps that should be taken, or maybe some support that should be taken in order to ensure that the voice of the youth is heard from the policymakers?
Thank you, Riva. This is a very important question. And according to my experience while working from the initial conceptual phase to the timeline where I am, I'm already experienced in one sector of running through young water volunteers from the school side, and now working with young water volunteers from university side. I've realized that when we want to reach to policymakers, it's not easy way, definitely, because they are not going to hear very easy way when there are students and young people are involved. I'm not afraid to tell that, especially when we have faced this situation. We are supported in words from local to global platform. It is stated that youth should be involved everywhere, from voices to seats to implementation everywhere, even to financial support and everything, or kind of bringing them into table. But at times it's just about bringing them into table for one time, just to showcase or to frame that we are doing collaboration or doing working together. Maybe it's something to place that in this statement, but actually effective collaboration is not happening. Like involving them in the real ground for the efficient, like considering us youth as actual change makers or actual agents of change. They don't take it seriously. I am not ashamed to tell it, because at times they tell it so very easily in kind of workshops or kind of meetings or in email, but when actually they have to support with some kind of cooperation, incorporating our proposal into their program planning, or like giving us space in a very effective way, it falls apart. It's not easy. That's why I've realized that we should not be dependent on especially the government collaboration in the directly in the first place, but this is the key. without working with government, we cannot make it happen in a long-term basis. There has to be collaboration with government approach. But the key is that first bring your ideas into practice so that government or other agencies working in the area together with the government cannot deny your effort. They can see the changes happening, and they are in a way they are motivated, or they are impressed, or in a way that they are forced or pressurized. Make them heard and bring them to hear what you are doing, what kind of issues you are tackling. So I think working with different like-minded organizations is the key, I think, because when you combine your energy, not just like taking initiative with your one perspective, I think we need to understand the challenges and the weaknesses and the joining hands potential that we can work with different other stakeholders and other organizations, and that's the step where we can start making them feel that, okay, this is one effort and they are trying to bring some change, combine their force. And there are people definitely in every area, whether it's government or private agency or UN agency or like any kind of local NGOs or international NGOs, INGOs, there are people who will listen to you, but you need to keep on working on. And as I am saying 100 times, like your creation, ideation to efforts and consistency, this is the thing you should not be forgetting. And when you keep on doing this thing with the idea of partnership and joining hands together, this will be happen one way or other, or later or sooner. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita. Thank you, Michelle. And also, Amin, for being here today. I'm sure we can continue this session further and further. Just for the sake of time, we should be closing soon, but I'll keep the floor for very final words if you'd like to share, Michelle and Amrita. Michelle, if you have your final words.
Yeah, I wanted to thank you again for hosting this webinar, and for Amrita and Amin and everyone's contributions. So I just shared in the chat box the link if someone is interested to join UNESCO Groundwater Use Network. So it will be our pleasure to collaborate in the future and to make a change together. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Get well soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Amrita, would you like to share your final words?
Thank you, Reba. Actually, I have said already enough about the about while I'm answering the question. But as Misal said, I also would like to thank our all panelists, Misal and Amin and you, Reba, for moderating excellent way, for bringing our ideas into very vocal way here, and our support system, Arturo. They're like handling everything, and all the participants here today. And like, I'm so glad and like very motivated the way our participants are literally trying their best to share the information, queries. So this is very interactive thing, and I would like to share this excitement more in other platforms, I guess. And last but not the least, this is very interesting that if we work with the ideas, we are the common people, like we will be colliding in other platforms. For example, Amin and I, we've been working together as co-focal point in Youth for the Rhine, for the youth consultation, and now research and innovation. And this is how we can inspire each other for different kind of motivation. And this is the thing that we can think that, like, you can have different titles, you can have different hats, but just focus on the thing that you want to bring change. And especially all of us, we are here to motivate youth, like whatever possibilities we can bring together. And Michelle, he also talked about the global youth groundwater youth network. I'm also glad to see that it is making a very good impression, having the members in a short time in a very inspiring way. And I think this is one of the symbol that we youth from any part of the world or any sector, we need this kind of platforms, and then we need this kind of support system where we want to grow together, we want to learn from each other. So there shouldn't be just one angle, there shouldn't be just one reason, there shouldn't be just one subject. Let's work together, like having our different issues and different platforms, different identities in its place, but working together, partnerships and consistency and our idea are the keys. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope that this was a fruitful session for you. And of course, as Arturo mentioned, that the webinars recording and the presentation will be posted on the IWRA. I'll leave now the floor for Arturo, our managing everything today from the backside. I'll leave the floor to you, Arturo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rewa. I think we had a great discussion with really inspiring young professionals and their initiatives. We had more than 100 people attending the webinar, basically from all corners of the world, mainly from Asia, Africa, and Europe. Likewise, I'm glad to see many young attendees and gender balance in the audience. So glad to see people from different organizations and backgrounds. Well, it's really sad, but it's time to close this webinar. IWRA would like to again thank everyone for this great session. Special thank to our panelists, Michael Friend, Amin Shakia, and Amrita Gautam, as well as our moderator, Riwa Azi. I hope you all found useful the insights provided by our panel during this special and inspiring event that was led by youth and for youth. So I hope this event will generate even more motivation and creativity in your own work as well. If these presentations left you interested in learning more, please check out our LinkedIn and continue the discussion and follow us for more IWRA updates. In a few days, we will have the presentations and the webinar recording in our website. So if you are interested in knowing more about the association or becoming a member, please go to www.iwra.org. So I have shared some the links that I have mentioned in the chat box, so you can easily use them. On behalf of the whole IWRA office, thank you very much to you all for attending this webinar, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, afternoon, or evening. Ciao, ciao.